adventure, sports, outdoors. With host Harry Canterbury.
There I was, back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. Yeah.
Hi, Harry Canterbury with another edition of Adventures Sports Outdoors. Join us today for an interesting program. Everybody's heard of Al Capone. We're going to show you where he hunted ducks. And we're also going to show you a lady who lives right next door to the Al Capone Duck Club, and it's called Moscow Bay Farm. She's lived there since 1941. Eileen Keithley is 93 years old, and she gets around like an 18-year-old kid. What a lady. She is sharp as a tack. And as we were driving down the road about a week ago, I said, I'd like to go back and see what's going on there. I've always wanted to see this place. We drove back and she was just so accommodating, and she took us on a tour of this great farm. There's a real mystery about this place. I think you'll enjoy the program. We're also going to have our fishing tips. We're also going to cook a few fish and a few other things. So stay tuned today for a great show.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Remax, specializing in commercial and recreational property in Peoria. Michael O'Brien, President. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. And by Alwyn & Sons Meat Company, they process deer. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
Our trip takes us to Havana, Illinois, a little river town just south of Peoria of about 40 miles. It's kind of a home away from home. I've been going to Havana for years. I've got a lot of relatives there, and I know a lot about the history. At one time, Havana was the Reno and Vegas of the Midwest. All sorts of gambling and all sorts of other illicit activities that went on. And they let them do it until 1953 on Halloween. They were raided and were shut down. But prior to that, Havana was well known, and especially Al Capone, who liked to get out of Chicago and go to Havana to have a nice time and get away. We went to the public library and spoke to a lady by the name of Nancy Glick. She is a local historian and filled us in on a lot about Havana.
I also have a couple pictures of Bath.
Oh, you do? That would be good. And then we were on our way to our destination, a real neat place. At one time, this place was one of the fanciest farms in the state of Illinois. It is called Moscow Bay Farm. I went up to the door to meet Eileen Keithley, who has lived at this farm since 1941. Eileen has had a wonderful life. At 93 years old, she is still having a wonderful life. In fact, she just got back from Cuba on a vacation with her daughter. Well, hello there, Eileen. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks for inviting us down. We appreciate it.
Okay. Come in.
Yeah. I'm here with a remarkable lady, and Eileen Keithley, living here south of Bath, Illinois. And Eileen's lived here at the Finley Barrel Farm since 1941. And her and her husband came here from Cass County, is that correct?
Menard County.
Menard County, okay, real close. And they've been living here for a long time, and her husband passed away about 20 years ago?
1994.
1994. But she has a beautiful farm. There's a lot of history here, and we're going to show you a little bit about it today. We're also going to talk a little bit about Al Capone. Al Capone hunted only about 2 miles from where we're sitting right now, and her husband hunted with Al Capone as a young man. down along the Illinois River at Wolf Lake. But first we're going to start out 1941. You came to this farm. What was this place like when you came here?
Well, about the same as then, except the barn is gone, the hog house is gone, and the water tower is down.
But outside of that, it's I'm going to tell you what, I don't know how you do it, but this is an immaculate, beautiful place, and the buildings are all painted.
Don't look that good out around.
Well, I think it looks great.
Buildings.
And, these buildings are 100 years old.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about Mr. Finley Barrell. He was a grain dealer in Chicago, a multi-millionaire in the time that he lived. And he came here and built this facility. It was a beautiful farm when he built it, right? And then he had a son. And tell us about what happened to the young man.
In the Chicago paper, notice for the death of John Barrell, only child of Finley and Grace Barrell. The family came down from Chicago for a vacation. He dove off the boat dock into the water and went under. They tried a new pulmotor to save his life to no avail. John was 22 years old, not very robust, and weighed around 100 pounds. They had a railroad car sent to Bath to take his body and the family back to Chicago, as the legend goes, never to return to Bath.
So they built this beautiful farmhouse, and the amenities here, this was probably one of the most beautiful farms in the state of Illinois. And they built it, and they just finished it, and the young man died. He left and went back to Chicago and never came back. I heard that story for many, many years, and as you come down Route 78 and you look across the field, you used to see a big water tower out there. And I know it just disappeared the last few years, but it was getting old and it needed to go. But it was quite a landmark here for many years.
I didn't even want to go down and go in the house anymore. I was afraid something would fall on me.
Yeah, it was getting old and falling apart. So you and your husband lived here for a long time, and what kind of work did you do? You know, when you farmed here, what kind of work did you guys do here on the farm?
Well, see, we rented the farm from 41 to 45, and we raised turkeys in the buildings, and then after 45 we bought the place, and so we kept on raising turkeys for 8 years.
Well, now, also, just not the history that's so interesting about here, but there's a lot of duck hunting right next door. I mean, that was he enjoyed duck hunting. Mr. Barrell did.
That's where he decided he wanted to buy the land. He was over there hunting.
He hunted over at Grand
Island.
Yeah.
And somehow he saw this and thought he wanted
his own place.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you have a beautiful collection of quilts, and you give these all away to your family. But where do you find time to do all that, Eileen?
In my spare time, well, I did a lot of them when we spent the winters in Hawaii. I'd take the blocks over and hand piece them. It's all hand pieced quilts and hand quilted. And I made, this is a butterfly, here's a duck theme, and the rose. And I forget the name of that now. What is it? No.
Well, sure, some beautiful stuff. I don't know where you found the time to do it. There's a nice poem here written by David Badger from the Badger Collection, and David is an artist and a poet. And here's a nice little poem about where we are today. Let's shoot ducks on Moscow Bay. Come, let's shoot ducks on Moscow Bay. Let's watch their flight, the flocks of ducks soaring low, just over the treetop, their wings tilted, their legs extended as their webbed feet are held perfectly. Then the splash of water and the cackle of leather and the sounds of gun fill the air. Smell the powder, hear the yelp of the dog, see the wet water and the limp of body, and eyes of dog and the approval reward, the vacant bay, the abandoned barn. Come, let's shoot ducks on Moscow Bay. Let's watch their flight, the flocks of ducks soaring low. Nice little poem. I am just really thrilled to meet you, and because you are such a special person. Here you are, 93 years old, living by yourself, You get around really good, except you got a bad wing. You told me you got a torn rotator cuff, but all the work that you do, it's amazing. It really is, and it's more than a pleasure to be able to come down and see this gorgeous old farm and all the historical things that surround it. But I want to thank you so much, and now we're going to go outside and take a look at the rest of the farm. It is quite a place. There was a town up here. It was called Moscow Bay.
Yes.
Is there anything left of the old town?
No.
Did you say you find sometimes little pieces of pottery? And
Yes. Well, there's pottery you find when you till the ground.
when they put a plow to it, it all pops up there.
Yes.
Yeah. This is where they live.
That's right. What we always call the big home.
This was the big house. Well, that's what's left of the house. You can see the pins there where they bolted down the boards there to start building the house. Wow.
It was very unusual to have running water and bathrooms,
And they had that.
which we had.
Uh-huh.
I think most people around here, it was 1940 before they had all that.
Electricity or
And
anything?
here was a water line, comes all the way
This
from,
was a water line.
that's a cutoff. So it won't freeze.
Tell us what this was here, Eileen.
It was the doghouse, and it had varnished beadboard inside and running water. And I saw the doghouse.
They've been gone a long time.
Yeah. And this little path led to the ice house. They cut their own ice
And the ice house was down there.
right here,
Ice house was
right
there.
here. And it was probably 12 feet by 18 or something.
That's a big ice house. This is the duck club. This is where the hunters always stayed.
Yeah, that's right. But it was a two-family farm, or home for the farm laborers. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a beautiful old building.
And this was the bathroom.
This was
The
bathroom
old
here.
tub and the sink are still there,
I'll be darned, the old tub and sink.
but they're cut off now.
Yeah. Look at the old balances. It still has the balances up here too.
And here's the one that has the little porch.
This is the porch.
Porch. And of course another little room here.
Boy, this was a big place. Look at the old radio. This was a nice one. There's hooked up right
Oh.
there. Get it.
Forgot
Now,
one
we're
of
going
them.
to go in and see where the bats live, and you have literally thousands of bats that live inside here,
Yes.
and they're leaving now. They're migrating, and they're going to Mexico. Well, this is what they call guano, right? Or, yeah.
Yes.
Teddy bear, come here. Teddy, come over here. I'll be darned. Look at all the guano laying there. That's from the bats. There's one that's died, or right down here. There's one that's died. He didn't get out of here in time to go to Mexico. Didn't make it. They say that makes real good fertilizer. That makes great
It was
fertilizer.
very good, yes.
Yeah, they
Very
say it's the
good
best there is.
And then in the daytime, they in this rafter.
They live up here.
Yes, right in this rafter.
Teddy bear, come on. Teddy, Teddy. Teddy bear. We're only 1 month away from Halloween, And coincidentally, some strange activities have taken place here at the old farm. And we spoke to a friend of the Keithleys, and he told us a story that is really interesting. I'm here with Cornell and Joanne, and we're going to talk about something that they saw here not too long ago, an interesting thing.
Well, what happened was one day, we were asleep. We were laying in the bed asleep. It was kind of about 1 or 2 in the morning, maybe a little later. And we're asleep, and something kept saying, wake up, sleepyhead, and it kept grabbing my toe and shaking my toe, right? And so I thought it was Joe. And I said, stop. And it kept doing it and doing it and doing it. So I kind of like opened my eyes, like, you know how you just kind of force your eyes open? Because when you're in a deep sleep, you kind of like force your eyes open, and I saw it. He was like a really slim, well-dressed, young guy, and real nice, hair and everything. And so the next day, I asked Joe, I said, Joe, I saw something last night. She said, what you saw? I said, I saw a young man. And she said, oh, that was the young man probably that drowned. That's the first time I had ever heard about somebody being drowned out here. And evidently, it was about the young man that drowned. I actually saw him. He was a really tall, slim guy. Yep. And he's not an evil or bad guy. He's just mischievous kind of person. Yeah. Yep. So I guess you can say he was a ghost.
Now, do you believe everything that Cornell says about this? I mean, he's not the kind of guy that would stretch the truth, is he?
No, I believe it because he even woke me up, he shook me, and I was laying there in the bed and asleep, and I just told him, leave me alone. And then he told me all about it again the next day. So I really believe that's what happened. You
really believe it?
Yes.
And you knew about the young man that drowned here, but he didn't.
Right, right. No, I knew about it because I was born and raised here. So I knew all about that, but he didn't know anything about it.
So it could be true.
Sure. Yeah. I've heard of stories like that before.
95% everything Uncle Si says is true.
That's right.
We'd like to thank Eileen for her treasure trove of knowledge. It was really interesting to see this old farm. I have drove by it for 40-some years, and that little drive down that concrete road turned into be really worth seeing. As we mentioned, Al Capone came down to Havana all the time, and he loved to hunt ducks. I knew a guy by the name of Hap Lippert who passed away about 40 years ago, and he told me he took Al out hunting. He said he was a real nice guy, but the guys that he brought down, he was a little worried about them. He would shoot woodpeckers and crows and anything that flew, and loved to cook. Those are some of the memories that Hap told me 40 years ago. And he had a brick outhouse with a concrete roof. There was 2-inch walls made out of brick and a 3/8-inch steel door. So you can imagine that he wanted to protect himself. You know, a lot of people say there's not a lot of stuff in Illinois. Believe me, there is if you look for it. We found it. Really some neat history and some real neat people. I want to thank Eileen again for letting us come to your home and opening your doors to show us all about the Moscow Bay farm. And now we're going to cook some fish with my old buddy Pat Sullivan. That guy can cook fish. Man, is it good.
Hi, I'm Pat Sullivan from Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery. I'm a fisherman. I love to fish. I love to catch fish, clean them, and eat them. One of my favorite and most people's is crappie. We went out today, caught some great crappie, some small bass. I'm going to show you how to fix them. Very simple and very good. It's a pan-fry crappie. So let's get started. I start out with 3 eggs. There we go. Get them all nice and ready to go. I'll run my fish through them. I'm going to bread them with one of my favorite breadings. It's Dixon's Seasoned Breading. Jim Dixon's a good friend of mine, good friend of Harry's. This guy knows how to make a breading, and I use it on my pan-fried anything. Chicken, fish, pork chop, that's a good breading. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We'll run these eggs through the batter, put it in the breading. I always take a gallon Ziploc, because I'll shake it up. Look at those fillets, aren't they beautiful? What we'll do, we're out on a beautiful mid-August, no humidity, about 70 degrees right now, out in Tremont, Illinois. Isn't this beautiful? Was just out in a lake, caught these fish. I got those fish good and battered. Here we go. We'll brown this up on one side, flip them after a couple of minutes, cook them up, and these will be ready to eat. Okay, we'll let that cook up. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, they're getting done just perfect. Look at that. Here again, we went out on a nice, beautiful day, spent a couple hours on the lake, caught some fish, and filleted them, brought them right up to the deck here to fry out. Very inexpensive, very good fish. And a lot of fun to do. A little bit of Old Bay, one of my favorite seasonings. And we're ready to eat. Let's have some fresh crappie pan-fried. One of my favorite ways to cook it.
Hey, we're having a great meal. We've got some fried crappies that Pat just cooked up. And we refer to Pat Sullivan as Mr. Fish now because I don't know anybody else in this world that knows more about fish than Pat Sullivan. But Mr. Fish has prepared us a great meal with some fried crappies. And we just wish there was a great friend of ours with us today. And his name is Harry Kelleher from San Diego, California. And it's Pat's uncle, and a great guy. He's 88 years old, and we just wish he was with us today because he's the kind of guy that you just like to spend time with. But if you'll take a look at these fantastically fried crappies in Dixon's fish batter, couldn't be any better. And we got some home fresh grown tomatoes that I grew. And the only thing that we really need right now is some fresh sweet corn, because I love sweet corn. But Pat, this is the way to eat, isn't it?
This is the way to go, right here. And yeah, my Uncle Kelly, Harry Kelleher, and that's where we got the restaurant name. Is Kelleher's is after my uncle, my mom, and their family. That was my mom's maiden name. And Harry was fishing with us just last spring, right here, Harry, and he'll be back in another month. And he turns 88, so...
He's had a bad turn as far as prognosis for lung cancer, is that correct?
Well, yeah, the doctors have spotted something, so we're going to wait and see what happens. But he's coming back to fish, so
that's right.
The fish better be ready.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest guys I ever knew in my life, and I feel a privilege to have known such a fine human being as Harry Kelleher. Well, hey, we're going to enjoy some fantastic crappies, and this is all due to Mr. Fish.
Hi, I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week. Concealed carry has finally passed in Illinois, and shortly we'll be able to carry handguns. Here are a few good choices of handguns that would be excellent guns for concealed carry. You want something small, compact, lightweight. This is a Ruger polymer frame, 357 Magnum. Below it is a Smith & Wesson stainless steel. It's a 5-shot 38 special. Then if you want a semi-automatic, we have small 380s. This is a Sig Sauer. A Taurus 380, which would be an excellent choice for a lady. We have them in purple and pink. A Ruger 380, nice, small, and compact. If you want something larger, this is a Glock 26 9mm. They make the same thing in a Model 27 40 caliber. Those would all be good choices. In holsters, we have a shoulder holster from Uncle Mike's. They make an ankle holster, a pancake holster, which will break up the outline of the pistol that you carry. Inside the pan holsters, a pocket holster are just some of the good choices for concealed carry. I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week.
On October 7th, the Illinois State Police is mandated to have in place instructors to teach you concealed carry. It's a little sketchy about all the details, but they'll be teaching classes real soon. It's going to cost you $150 for your license fee, between $200 and $300 for your instruction fees. You will be taking 16 hours of class, and if you're a veteran, you only have to take 8. But there's a lot of stuff to learn, and here on Adventure Sports Outdoors, we'll let you know what it's all about.
Hi, I'm Bob Park, and this is your fishing tip for today. We're going to talk about buzz baits. It's a topwater bait used for bass. They come in several different sizes. This one is a 1/2 ounce buzz bait. They come in a variety of colors. Most of them will be whites, chartreuses. You'll see a lot of them in blacks, blues, reds, and even some of the natural colors, pumpkin seed, watermelon, and things of that sort. Blade types, you can get them with a single blade. This is a double blade. It's a counter-rotating blade within a blade. And then they also make them in a twin arm to where there's 2 sets of blades on the lure. To use the buzz bait, you just want to cast it out to your target and quickly start retrieving it so that the lure will pop up onto the top of the water. It makes a lot of commotion, and because of that, it can be fished at any time of the day, but it works best early mornings or in the evenings. You can pause, retrieve, and sometimes the fish will hit it on the fall. You want to always try to vary the cadence some. Sometimes they want it non-stop, sometimes they want it stop and go. Bump it into things. Bounce it off of a dock, off of a tree, off of a stump. Speed up, slow down. Anything to draw the fish's attention to something on the lure besides the sound. I'm Bob Park, and that's your fishing tip for today.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Remax, specializing in commercial and recreational property in Peoria. Michael O'Brien, President. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. And by Allwyn & Sons Meat Company, they process deer. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.